friends, I just wanted to do a little video about um, trying to be an entrepreneur in Montana. And it's 2019, we need our internet. And uh, we need the internet provider to be able to keep track of the bills, keep track of old accounts separate from new accounts. And I am complaining here about Spectrum because, sorry about the video camera moving there, but Spectrum has been so aggravating. Just, it's just amazing the incompetence that people in Montana are supposed to put up with. And when like Spectrum can't keep its accounts straight, um, can't deliver the internet, you know, whatever it's supposed to do. Of course, that's going to affect an entrepreneur who doesn't know billing details and changing account minutia. Like that's supposed to be Charter Spectrum's deal. That's why we pay them $80 a month. Um, so, so I moved from an old building to a new building, and actually to another new building. And so it seems that I'm looking at my account to uh, uh, get it ready for my web designer. And being that it's Missoula, like everything is like it's a third Missoula, Montana is a third world U.S. city, and uh, you know, people are like, but it's it's in the north and it's in the west, and aren't there just cowboys here? Maybe that's what it is, but um, you have landlords and property managers who have it's like a little mafia, so they don't take care of the rentals, and renters are scum of the earth. So when you're a solopreneur, that means you're not a millionaire, you're not buying a house, you're renting. So you're renting this death trap. I mean, and there's no other word for it. Pretty much every place I've been in has been squalor or a death trap. And because that's the culture here, everybody's like, oh, that's too bad, that's how it is. Either you're a renter and you're like, that's too bad, or you're a homeowner and you're like, well, I'm glad I bought my house, I'm glad that doesn't happen to me. And basically a renter is just, you're just this transient, get out of here, buy a house or leave or die. And so you're a solopreneur, you come to Missoula or somewhere in Montana to rent a place and to run your business, but you're having to get the landlord or the property manager up to code about a habitable housing situation. So you're wasting your time talking to the property manager or the landlord or HUD or housing authority or the human rights people at BOLI or the legal aid people. You waste all your time. You do your due diligence. You have your progressive liberal friends, educated people around you. Oh, well, all you got to do is just, let them know what the code is, and, let's, no. Not when you're in a provincial city where it's just about who you know and nepotism, favoritism, all that. So you're a solopreneur. You come to this beautiful place to run your business. You actually, so you're living in this on the appearance it looks fine, but then there may be no airflow, or the dryer vent runs to your room and runs to your only window, and there's no venting, there's no airflow. the person who was in the room before you died of pneumonia because there's no airflow. Anyway, so you've got all that mess to deal with. Not to mention if you're like trying to walk across the street because you're a pedestrian, maybe you're a minimalist, maybe you're trying to be gentle on the planet, so you never learned how to drive like me. So every time you try to cross the street, it's a battle of wills. It's a death risk, you know. And again, people in Missoula are like, either they're like, Missoula drivers are the best. Missoula drivers are so considerate. Okay, so some people in Missoula are like that. However, they won't ride a bike in the bike lanes here in Missoula. Why? Because it's so dangerous. Montana, 4 years in a row, as of 2014, was the worst being the worst drivers in the United States. I'm sure there's other worse cities, but it's still not a good thing. And then there's Montana drivers who are like, who will never admit publicly or privately that the driving is bad here, but they know it. And they just think if you have a positive attitude, then it shouldn't bother you that it's a risk to cross the street when you're following the rules, when it's your light. There's some people who just think you have to think positive. There's some people who think if you just pray hard enough. There's some people who've told me, and this is all stuff I've heard from people, that, you know, if you just believe in God enough, that the icy roads and the dangerous conditions should not be an issue. I mean, help me. God, help me. So you're a solopreneur, you come here, beautiful place, you know, it seems like it's a human scale city. So the habitation is basically a variety of insane death traps. Trying to cross the street as a pedestrian is basically an insane death trap. Drivers don't like using their turn signals, so they just expect you to jump out of the way when you're crossing the street. Really, it's all you. It's all you. And so you're trying to start a business. So it's like you're barely, you know, able to sleep through the night because there's a vacuum cleaner's decibel level fan going on outside your window when you're trying to sleep from 1 to 5 a.m. There's people just, you know, almost running you over, and generally people are just like, well, that's just your problem, you know, like you're just being negative. And then Spectrum. So everything is really the internet. And so I've had pretty much just constant failure. I've been a customer with Spectrum probably since, was it 2015, 2016. And my first website, so the designer made some mistakes, major mistakes, like not saving my files, not knowing how to upload them to my whatever is supposed to be uploaded, so it never worked. And then there were viruses, and she was blaming me for viruses on the GoDaddy website somehow. So that was a disaster. So the website, the webmaster or the web designer that I first worked with she shouldn't have been doing websites. And then Spectrum didn't really seem to know what it was doing. GoDaddy also didn't seem to know what it was doing. So I just figured, okay, maybe it was just a poorly done website. So I rustled up. I got funding for another $3,500 for a second website, start from scratch, okay? So I'm looking on Spectrum, and they have this verification process that doesn't work, and I had to do it, like resend the code to verify my phone number 3 times, and to verify my email address, and that one, you know, I tried it 3 or 4 times and it didn't work. And now there are other websites, somehow it manages to work. Password passwords update. So for some reason, though, Spectrum does not work. And of course, Spectrum's going to say it's my computer. But why is it that my computer works with my other high security accounts? You know, credit card, banking, whatever. So I just think that there's something up with how Charter Spectrum serves the Montana region. You know, I don't know if we're like Utah or Wyoming or whatever, so we're just like garbage. You know, we don't, like Montana does not do a whole lot of innovation, and so they probably have us, you know, like inconsequential customer. So anyways, I'm looking at my account. Now, the account that shows up is one that I had 3 houses ago. So I was like, oh, they didn't update the address. So what I'm thinking is they didn't even close the account from like a year ago. And so they're leaving this account open to make it confusing for them, make it confusing for me. And this is just how it is. You know, it's 2019, we have technology, you know, and Spectrum is just, it's just like, I mean, it's just a nightmare. And I mean, at least for, you know, I went with Spectrum because I'm like, okay, you know, I could have my website be hosted on there and I could have their customer service. And it's just been such, like, if you look at the platform that they have for your website, it's like 80s style, you know, design. Like this is Charter Spectrum, and they put nothing into making the back end of the business web stuff. Like they don't make it user friendly. It's like it's almost DOS style. So I'm just disgusted. I'm so disappointed. I'm so frustrated because, you know, when you're in Montana and you're not rich and you don't have a whole lot of leverage, you've got so much going against you. I mean, literally, people are trying to kill you one way or the other, or you know, maybe they're not deliberately trying to kill you, but you're of no consequence. And when this is a car culture, or everybody's smoking, or everybody's spraying chemicals, you know, it adds up. So, anyways, it's just, I'm in despair, you know, because I know I'm gonna be calling Spectrum. I'm gonna be on hold forever. They're not gonna know what's going on. They're gonna probably tell me everything's fine, and it's gonna be a problem. And I don't. Number one, I can't figure all this stuff out. The web designer that I'm working with doesn't have time to figure it out, and it's neither of our jobs. Spectrum needs to do its job. So, anyways, if you're planning on, if you're thinking of relocating from California or New York to Montana, don't. This is not a good place. Like, unless you can have your own compound and you don't need infrastructure beyond the basics, like, this is not a place of invention or innovation, unless you're here to do drugs, drink, drive, you know, like be in a clique. I mean, yeah, it's just been very difficult, at least for me. And I'm sure there's many people who are like, oh, this was the best place ever, and that's great. I'm glad for you. But for my demographic of never knowing how to drive, starting a business, doing an online business, being a renter in a with limited funds, it's just such a nightmare. So, just a heads up. And I mean, and if I was to make recommendations, I mean, I would you know, places to be for entrepreneurs. I would be where there's good infrastructure, good public transit, um, clean air. That's another thing. Pretty much the entire city of Missoula is in a stagnant air zone. So I already have low gland function, adrenal insufficiency, Hashimoto's, PCOS. So I really think that being that this place is in a valley, air stagnation zone, it's just really damaged my health and really just set me back so badly. It's just, so if you have health issues, you really should not move. You know, Missoula is so pretty, but that air stagnation zone, oh my goodness, it's such a punishing penalty, you know, for beauty. So for whatever that's worth, thanks for watching. Bye bye.